Good morning, Jack. Great to be with you.
Good to have you. A lot of things to talk about this morning. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about this story involving that the Washington Post broke involving the president's lawyers and the Mueller team and the 49 topics that the president was fuming about yesterday on Twitter. Are we in, as one lawyer said, are we now in Ken Starr territory with this investigation?
Well, I think it is deeply concerning. The early warning signs of the special counsel investigations were when Bob Mueller filled the team with partisan Democratic prosecutors, with prosecutors who had given thousands of dollars to Hillary Clinton, the Democrats. I think that was a serious mistake. And history has taught that the problem with special prosecutors, the problem with independent counsels, is over and over again, they become fishing expeditions. They become simply a quest to dig through and find anything to try to go after and target and prosecute someone. I think that is very, very dangerous, and I've got significant concerns that that's where we're headed right now.
Do you have a theory about what motivates Mueller, or is it just that he doesn't want to be a guy that was hired to find something and didn't find anything?
Well, it is in many ways structural. It's why over a decade ago, Congress allowed the independent counsel statute to expire. And actually, both parties agreed that independent counsel should end over a decade ago, because what we've seen, you think about it, how it operates differently from an ordinary prosecutor. An ordinary prosecutor, the district attorney, you'll have a crime, say there's a dead body or there's been a break-in at a house or a business. The police are investigating that crime. They're trying to find out who committed that particular crime. And if you find evidence and you find a suspect, and you can bring a case. And if you don't, there's going to be another crime the next day, and you investigate the next crime. Your mission is to investigate and prosecute crimes, not to go after a particular individual. Mm-hmm. A special prosecutor, an independent prosecutor, is totally different. Your mission is go after this one person. And what we've seen this from both Democrats and Republicans, that when someone gets that appointment and you unleash just a horde of prosecutors on someone, it becomes, nobody wants to step out after they've been appointed special prosecutor and say, sorry, I'm just not any good. I couldn't find anything. And so all the incentives are to keep going and going and going until you nail a trophy to the wall. And that is not serving the interest of justice. That's not serving the interest of the country.
Talking with Senator Cruz right now on KTSA. Do you see the caravan that is currently in the standoff on the border in California? Do you see that as intentionally created to test the Trump administration?
No, of course it is. It is obvious that it is, and that the proponents of illegal immigration in the United States, including some of the loudest cheerleaders in the mainstream media, are using it to drive a political agenda. One of the sadder realities is that today's modern Democratic Party in Washington supports illegal immigration. They don't hide it. They don't pretend otherwise. It's the State of the Union. Every member of Congress gets to bring one guest to the State of the Union. I think it was striking how many members of Congress, how many Democrats chose to bring illegal aliens to the State of the Union. Mm-hmm. The guest I invited to the State of the Union, I joined up with Henry Cuellar, a Democrat from South Texas. The two of us together invited Stephen and Pam Williford, who, as you know, Stephen Williford was the incredibly brave Texan in Sutherland Springs, mm-hmm. who risked his life and saved many, many people by stopping that deranged shooter.
Speaking of that, you're going to the NRA convention, right?
I am.
What is what's going on with the fact that we have today in America, in 42 states, including Texas, students walking out in support of the Second Amendment? They're going to do a 16-minute walkout in support of the right to bear arms. And I don't hear anybody saying in the national news media, we ought to be listening to these young people and letting them guide the way we make policy.
Of course not, because the national media, they've also given up the pretense. They're no longer pretending to be journalists. They're now partisan activists and advocates. And so you take, for example, following the horrific shooting in Parkland, which all of us grieved and were horrified over. CNN did an hour-and-a-half town hall that was nothing but a pure infomercial for the political position they hold. In 90 minutes, they could not find a single person in the state of Florida who supported the Second Amendment. I mean, it was an orchestrated presentation that there was one view and one view only. So you're right. There's thousands and thousands of students across the country walking out of school today and in support of the Second Amendment. I met with the young man who is organizing that nationwide. I met with him last week. He's an impressive young man. The media, to them, it is a tree falling in the woods. It is, to use a different analogy, it is an inconvenient truth. And so they're not going to highlight it. But the good thing is the values, the common sense values of Texans, who we are and what we believe, that's never been what the media wants to highlight, but it's who Texas is.
Of course, everybody watched last week the president host the president of France, who was in this country to make an impassioned case for staying in the Iran nuclear deal. Then this week we had Bibi Netanyahu basically drop a mother of all truth bombs on how that deal is working and what's really in it. At this point, is there any way the Trump administration could possibly stay in that deal?
Well, I certainly hope not. It is still a live decision. The final decision hasn't been made. But the speech that Prime Minister Netanyahu gave the day before yesterday was nothing short of extraordinary. I would really encourage your listeners, if you have a few minutes, Google it, go online and watch it. It is nothing. It is unlike anything any head of state has ever done before. What he described is the Israeli intelligence, the Mossad, incredibly captured over 110,000 secret documents from Iran. It's truly stunning. I'm sure they're going to make movies about this, just what a remarkable intelligence operation it was. And what Prime Minister Netanyahu does is he walks through systems like a prosecutor laying out the case to the jury. He walks through how Iran, for over 20 years, has had a secret nuclear program, has been working. Iran has lied over and over and over again. The entire Obama-Iran deal is built on lies, and I think the only result, the path before President Trump now is clear. The United States should withdraw immediately from the Iran deal. We should reimpose crushing sanctions. We should urge our allies to do the same, and we should do whatever is necessary to make sure the Ayatollah Khamenei, who chants death to America, to make sure the Ayatollah never, ever, ever gets a nuclear weapon.
Thank you. Appreciate the time. Senator Ted Cruz with us.